Hello again, EDF friends. Welcome back to our firing range where we test all the weapon types in the whole game. And this time we're going to finish up Wing Diver with the missile launchers and the plasma cores. So for the missile launchers, there's not a lot of differences, but there is a few. And also, regarding her plasma cores, it does affect the missile launchers quite a bit this time around. So in a way, it doesn't change every missile launcher type, but they're still very similar to the previous game. Let's start off with the Fenrir, which is also returned. It was in the previous game. It's the 3-shot. It's very accurate, and it's a very high energy consumption, unfortunately. But let's go ahead and take one of those. And then let's take the Mirage, which in the previous game was very weak. It was only good for stunning sometimes enemies, but this time around it's actually worthwhile. It seems a lot more useful this time around, especially with certain items. So let's go ahead and take one of those as well. Now, as far as the damage, the Fenrir does. Let's see. The Fenrir does 5,300 damage per second if you're hitting 3 targets at once. If you're just hitting one target at once, it's 1,800 damage per second. It has a 350 meter range, so it's not the greatest, but it's not terrible. Only a 2-meter blast, and but the problem is the energy consumption. It consumes 226 energy per second. So that's pretty high. So it's more of like you have to do more like a pulsing your trigger to use this thing. For the most part, because otherwise you'll be out of energy very quickly. Now, as far as the Mirage goes, the Mirage does 3,200 damage per second if you're hitting all 15 targets. However, I'm not 100% sure if it increases to 16 targets eventually, because there is another Mirage up here that is at 16. So mine is not maxed out, and the list I saw online wasn't maxed out. So I'm still not 100% sure on the official damage, but it's about 3,200 damage per second for 15 targets, and if you're hitting just one target, it's 210 damage per second. So it's not the highest damage, but usually you're using it on wasps, which don't have a lot of health. So it's mainly for stun, and it does kill. Also for the tadpoles as well is pretty good. It has a 500+ meter range, no blast, but it only consumes 63 energy per second. So not too bad at all. It doesn't consume energy. You can pretty much shoot this quite a bit while you're on the ground, and you're not going to worry about energy too much. So as far as something to keep in mind, though, all these damage numbers can double that I'm giving you. All these damage numbers can double in damage, because there is an item that she has that doubles the amount of rate of fire she can shoot these weapons. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's go ahead and take this out. I am going to take actually the item that increases it by double. It's this one right here. There's a couple of them, but this is one of them. Just because it's going to be fun to show this. I'm going to take it on a wasp mission because I think it shows off the best just how good this is this time around. So let's take mission 44, I think it is, yeah. But you'll see the Mirage used an awful lot in this game now, which is very cool, because in the past it wasn't very useful. Alright, the Fenrir is... Let me stay back a little bit here, actually, behind these guys at first. The Fenrir really drains your energy. As you can see, my energy is almost completely out. This is a huge tank. So it's more of like you get the pulse to trigger, more for like stunning, but the damage doesn't seem high enough to just be use it as a weapon just for stunning or pulsing the weapons. Whereas the Mirage, you can shoot it pretty often and not worry about energy, and you can stun quite a bit of enemies with this thing. So I would say that I don't really use the Fenrir too much. I'm not saying it's completely worthless. I haven't tested it completely, but I'm not too impressed with it because of the damage. I would say would have to increase drastically for it to be useful, because the range isn't even that good, and it only does 5,300 damage per second. I mean, you can increase that to 10,000, but as you can see, the wasps just come to a complete standstill when you use this Mirage on them. So, if you're ever struggling with missions with WASP, you definitely want to consider the Mirage. It's very, very strong this time around. Look at that, I just dropped all of them. And they barely had a chance to shoot the NPCs at all. So, I do have it doubled in speed, but it does the same idea. It still works without using the double speed shot, but definitely useful this time around. The Mirage I'm very happy with, and it's very useful for sure. And with the range, it's very great because also just you're able to stay further back, which is nice. Whereas the Fenrir, you have to be pretty close to targets. So I'm not sure if this thing is going to be used much online or not. Honestly, I haven't seen it too much, but I'm not sure all the benefits you could use this with because of how fast it drains you. Now onto the Ghost Chaser. The Ghost Chaser has made it back, the one that is notorious for shooting you in the feet if you're standing on the ground using this weapon. So you have to either fly or stand on like a cliff edge to use this thing effectively. It's very strong though. It's actually stronger than the Mirage, and it's very good on Wasp as well. It does 15,900 damage per second if you're hitting 34 targets. If you're just hitting one target, so each target is getting 468 damage per second. Has a 600 meter range, so a very good range, 3 meter blast, and that's the problem. Because of that blast, it can hit you in the feet if you're aiming straight ahead. But it has a 195 energy costs per second. So it's similar to the Fenrir, but it does a lot more damage, it hits a lot more targets. So I think it can have its uses, especially on Wasp levels and Tadpole levels, but still a very dangerous weapon to use, unfortunately. And then this is one of the few weapons that actually received a change, and that would be the Geist. The Geist is one of the most enjoyable weapons, I think, in my opinion. It has a huge blast, a 20-meter blast, and it shoots those slow-moving pink projectiles. It's like a perfume cannon, and it just smothers the whole battlefield in pink powder. But in the past game, the problem was it shot too slow. It was only good on very slow targets. This time around, they addressed that. The speed of the projectile is a lot faster this time around, so therefore it's a lot more useful. And on top of that, you can double the speed, like I said with the previous ones, and it becomes just a ridiculous powerhouse weapon. It does, the level 63, it does only 3,400 damage per second for 3 targets, or 1,100 per second for 1 target. However, you can double that, of course. But the thing is, it has a 20-meter blast, 500-meter range, so very good range, and it only consumes 51 energy per second. So therefore, it is a great stun lock for cosmonauts. I'm going to take a cosmonaut level here to show this off. I think it's 66, 67 rather. Very, very strong on cosmonauts because they don't have a chance to react by the time it gets to them. And it also can hit more than one target because of the fact that they are, can't move because of the stun. So, and look at the range on this thing. I can already hit him from way back here. So let's go ahead and get my energy full, and let's just start pouring projectiles on here. And as you can see, it's a lot faster this time around. I do have the double speed shooting, but the projectile is still the same speed. It's just shooting twice as many. But by the time it gets to these enemies, they have no chance to react. It is a little bit dangerous to yourself because of the 20-meter blast, so you have to be careful what you're standing in front of, but you can always aim up a little bit and you're fine. But these are all cosmonauts out there, and they're already dead. So I'm going to wait for the next set, because the next set has the big guys, the big cosmonauts, and it works good on them too. And of course it works good on colonists as well. I mean, it works good even on Wasp. I've seen it being used on Wasp, on aerial enemies and drones, because of the fact that it is faster this time around. So let's go ahead and just because it's fun, let's just go ahead and start shooting even though they're not even opening the thing yet. So by the time they have it open and dropping these guys, they'll be getting bombed by pink. But I've always loved this weapon. It has always been so fun, but it's just a little bit too slow. And as you can see, I can shoot almost indefinitely with this because of the energy consumption. Look at that, all those pink projectiles coming on top of those guys. And these are the big guys too. But I mean, they just don't have a chance to react because of the fact that they're just bombarded, they're constantly stunned. So This may be one of the most enjoyable weapons in the game. It's definitely a contender. And I'm still holding the trigger down. I'm not even worried about energy. It's pretty crazy. And the nice thing about this is these guys like to cluster up together, so I'm hitting more than just one target at a time. Oh, I finally got stopped. But all you can see, I mean, obviously it's a little bit difficult for other people to see. It is dangerous for your teammates, of course, and that's one of the negatives of this thing, but my goodness, it's fun. And it can be useful, so. And yeah, it is as fun as it looks, so. I mean, it may take a while to kill these guys, but it still works. There's definitely a guy approaching my side, but I don't know what he's doing. And then there's the Ghost Chaser. I'm going to do a different level for the Ghost Chaser. But this works really well on Wasp too. It's more dangerous, like I said, but if you can fly to the top of a building and hang over the edge of it a little bit, you're a lot safer, of course. Unfortunately, because I have double shot speed, I can't really fly very high. I can only fly this high. But shoots really fast, very accurate. You can burst fire this thing because of the fact that it's so much damage, and you don't want to, you know, use your energy up. Of course, obviously, it's not as effective as the Mirage, but it is more of like a burst damage and speed. Shoots super fast. And of course, if you shoot down to the ground, you're going to hit yourself with the 3-meter blast. But it's not a lot of damage, so it's not like it hurts you too much, but it's not the greatest. Now let's see if we can kill this next wave really fast. Get my energy back up here. Come on, guys, you can do it. You can do it. There you go. You killed one. I'm proud of you guys. Okay. Here it comes. It's so fun to just unleash this thing. Oh, I overheated. I was trying not to overheat, but as you can see, you can kill quite a bit. So it's definitely not more effective than the Mirage, unless you just want quick burst damage to kill the targets, and then you can change another weapon to do something else. I don't know, but it works. It still works pretty well. Oh no! Don't salute me and don't follow me. I'm dangerous. Let's do one more wave because that's so fun. Alright, come on. Here we go, here's the big one. Big wave. I think I'm hitting my Vigalta. Not terrible. I should have did more burst fire, I think, at the beginning, but as you can see, I killed almost all of these. I'm able to finish them off. But yeah, a pretty good weapon. Just a little bit dangerous, a little bit more difficult to use, but it definitely can be fun, for sure. Alright, now on to the next one. There is a single shot, which is, this is another return from the previous game, where it's one big shot, long range. It does 1400 damage per second on one target, if you're including the reload time. It has a 1000-meter range, 20-meter blast, and only 116 energy, so not terrible on energy cost. And then there is the Mirage 5-way. This thing is more of a slow shot. It has a blast radius. It does 734 damage per second for 5 targets, or 122 damage per second for 1 target. 400-meter range, 5-meter blast, and 30 energy per second. So it's not the greatest. It's I don't know the uses really for that weapon, honestly. It's only 5 shots, so it's not the greatest stunner for stunning large groups of enemies. And the damage is pretty low, so I'm not sure. And then here's the single shot. You can kind of use it as a rocket launcher because it shoots straight at the beginning, and then it homes in on the target after it goes a certain distance. So that's kind of nice. It's kind of a double function weapon, but and then the five-way, it's kind of slow is the problem. So I'm not sure the use of this weapon, the five-way, honestly. I never really used it too much in the previous game either. And the damage is low. If the damage was higher, I could see it being possibly useful. But I don't know. But yeah, I don't use this sniper weapon too much. I'm not saying that it's bad. I just don't really think to use it too much. I think it's better to have like a grenade launcher, one-shot grenade launcher that does more damage than to take this homing sniper shot, because it doesn't do that much damage. It's only 2,000. I think it's 2,000. Well, actually, I don't know the official number on this maxed out, but I'm assuming it's about 2,250 or 2,300. So, I mean, if that's the case, you could take a grenade launcher that's level 60, and you could do, let's see, that's 1,000, 22,000, 1,400 damage. Like, similar damage with the weapon that has a bigger blast. I mean, this does have a big blast too. I'm not sure. Maybe it could be useful. I mean, 20-meter blast isn't bad, and it does. I do like how it's double use, where you could shoot as a rocket launcher or it'll home in on the target. So, I mean, there might be some uses for this on like hardest, or probably hardest difficulty would be where you'd be able to use it. But anyway, yeah, there's those two, and then there is the single shot Fenrir, which is just one target, and I kind of like this one better, honestly, because of the fact that it's only 74 energy per second, so it's a lot less energy per second. It has only a 300-meter range compared to the 350 on the three-way, but it does 1,766 damage per second, so it's more damage per second than the three-way, for one target at least, and it has a 5-meter blast, but the negative is the C+ accuracy, so it's more of like a straight shot if it's not fast-moving targets, but like a slower-moving targets. And of course there is other Mirages here, another Geist three-way, another single shot, so just more repeats now. There is one weapon that's strange, not strange, but it's different. It's this one right here, so I'll just go ahead and take that since I don't have another weapon to take out. So I'm not sure if this Fenrir is pretty good. I mean, it's 1,700 damage per second at 300-meter range. So it's not bad for a slow-moving target. It's kind of like an auto-firing sniper, which is kind of cool. As you can see, I can shoot a lot longer, and it does kill a cosmonaut. So I mean, it's not. I think it's not terrible, especially for being level 53. So on hardest, I think this thing could be very useful. On maybe cosmonauts, on maybe drones, so the slower moving drones like red drones or something like that. Once they stop, and you can start hitting them, I think it could do a lot of damage on something like that. But pretty strong. I'm keeping my eye out on this weapon because I'm not sure how good it'll be, honestly. And then there's this one. This is not necessarily too unique, but this is a level. I think it was level. I forgot it was level 30 or something. You have to be careful. It does shoot the ground. I did know that, but I didn't aim up quite high enough. But it's like the mini Ghost Chaser that's a little bit safer to use. Not the greatest damage though. Oh yeah, there is a lower level Ghost Chaser though, which I think is more useful. Let me share that really quick with you. Where is it at? Right here. This is also a Ghost Chaser, and because it has a 1-meter blast, you actually can shoot relatively safely, and you don't have to worry about it. So I think on difficulties like hard or normal, I think this weapon's very useful, very fun too, actually. But I would definitely give this a try on like wasps and drones, and just in general, just try this weapon out because it's a lot more useful. It's a 600-meter range too, so it's pretty cool. So definitely worth a try. All right, now onto the items. The items are definitely not as unique as other classes, unfortunately, but it's still useful items, obviously, for the wing diver. So let me go ahead and pull up my list here for the Alright, now as far as, this is the highest one right here, the level 88, and it maxes out at 1693 energy, so mine's not quite maxed out, but quite a bit of energy. It's probably your overall, you know, the general use one where you don't want anything special, you just want a good all-around energy tank, and the reason is because it has low boost consumption, and it has, like I said, the highest energy tank itself, and it just has. Also, the second stat that has a star on it is the emergency charge, like when you're overheated, how fast it recharges. So the only two numbers that go up when you level up your energy cores is the max energy, the top stat, and then when you overheat, how fast you refill your energy. But this is just your overall best one. Then the second one down here is this one increases your boost speed. So you boost twice as far forward, and you boost 50% more sideways. So, but of course the negative of these, whenever you have one that has increased your boost, is the boost cost itself is a lot higher. For example, this is 72.8 boost cost compared to this one, which is 42. So it's twice as much, but to be fair, you're going twice as far. So you just have to be more careful with how often you boost. So still pretty good. I mean, the charge also is a little bit lower than this one, of course. It's 64.7 it charges per second, and this one is charged 84.3. And then there's 83 here, and this one increases your weapon charge speed by 50%. So this is like this is the one where it doubles your weapon charge speed. This is the one that, there's also ones that do it 50% more instead of 200%. So it's not. This is if you don't want to fly, you want to stay on the ground and use your weapons twice as fast, and this is if you want to fly and charge your weapons a little bit faster. So it's nice having those options. And then this one is 30% on. What is it? 30% on. 30% on flight speed. So not when you're not boosting, but you're just flying. This will increase it by 30%. So I'm not sure how often I would honestly use that one, but I'm not sure. The main ones I use are the 200% and and I use the overall. Sometimes I'll use the dash distance and speed, but that's it. I guess if you're trying to dodge more aerial targets, wasps and so forth, because that's her biggest threat. But that's pretty much all of her energy tanks. It's just mainly those 3 or 4 stats that they increase. So I do want to take the 78 here, the one that increases. So there is an argument for being a land wing diver, because of the fact that you can use weapons that charge twice as fast and you have more energy, so you're able to use them more often, especially when you're underground. But I've also found myself tempted to use being on the ground more, even on outside levels. For example, if you want to use your shotgun a lot, or if you want to use the Mirage a lot, of course, or the Geist a lot. It's very useful for those type of weapons. So let me go ahead and take this. Like especially underground, if you're ever going underground, I do like to take the larger energy tank and just use the shotgun a lot. It's definitely very fun to do, or even just use your rocket launcher a lot. You can stay on the ground and use your large rocket. Let me take the mission that has. Yeah, this one right here, the wasps. But you can be a lot more of a support role wing diver if you choose to stay on the ground with this energy tank, which is kind of unique. I'm glad they gave the option for that. You can use the tri-lance to get into the air with the energy tank, because right now if I hold flying, this is as high as I can go. So the way to move with this, you can still move this tank, you just want to fly off the ground a little bit and then dash forward. So you're not fast, but you're not, completely slow. It's not terrible. But like missions like this where you can be more of a support role, you can stay on the ground, shoot twice as fast, do a decent amount of damage, and stun the enemies for the other people to do, attack the large targets, can be useful. Or you can use your shotgun a lot, because it does charge twice as fast, so you can use your shotgun quite a bit, which can be useful as well on certain missions. So stuff like that can be useful. Like I said, underground, I like being able to charge my rockets a lot faster too. Let's take a rocket launcher here, get rid of the Mirage. You can really use almost any rocket, but like I said, I really like to take the level 15, quite honestly. Underground. Let's go to this mission, I guess. It's just nice not having to worry about your energy sometimes. It's not like it's completely it's not like you're never going to worry about your energy with this thing, but it is a lot easier to do high damage, burst damage, especially with the shotgun, where you can charge the shotgun twice as fast and shoot it. A lot of damage. It's almost instant when you shoot this thing. I mean, you can just spam this trigger, and this thing is doing, I believe it was 15,000, 14,000 damage per shot. So being able to spam that is very good. And also your rockets will charge twice as fast, so something like this where it's a huge blast twice as fast is pretty good. So just something to keep in mind. I wouldn't definitely rule out the idea of being a ground wing diver. It's definitely a nice change sometimes. And she has some really strong weapons, so being able to double her damage per second is pretty good. I'm just going to use my shotgun here a little bit, and then I'll retreat. And this thing stuns enemies too, which is nice, so pretty useful. It's almost instant, which is crazy. As you can see, I still have to worry about my energy a little bit, but I'm doing a lot of burst damage here. And it's definitely good for stunning enemies as they come towards you, like if you're underground, on any kind of enemies actually, because it pushes them back. It has an explosion, so pretty nice. But yeah, that's everything for Wing Diver. Overall I'm happy with Wing Diver. I think it's still a very strong class. Obviously, it's the strongest class because of the Tri-Lance, unfortunately. And that's what I mean, I always harp on this, but if they just would have got rid of the Tri-Lance or made it so that, I don't know, maybe it made it so that you don't hover when you dash, I guess that would fix it as well. If you fell faster when you, instead of dashing and hovering, you just dash and you still fall. That might fix it, because what frustrates me is everything is balanced. Like if she had this Tri-Lance right here, if she could just use this as her main weapon, because this would probably be her best weapon if they got rid of the Tri-Lance, then I feel like she'd be such a balanced, powerful overall class. But that stupid Tri-Lance just makes it so broken and so overpowered. Oh yeah, by the way, I did recently unlock one of her weapons I didn't have in the previous walkthrough, and that's this one, right? It's one large shot, 36,000 damage. It does more than that when it's leveled up, but one large shot, 300-meter range. And I'm really loving this weapon, honestly, especially for cosmonauts, so pretty cool. But anyway, if she just would have had, I don't know, they just would adjust that one issue. I feel like she's such a good balanced class this time. And I would see people using the Thunderbolt and the Idun, and people be using the Plasma more often, and I don't know. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating because they balanced the game good on Fencer, and then they just unbalanced it with Wing Diver. So we'll see what they do about in the future. But yeah, overall, she's still a very strong class, very different class, and I'm happy about that because, like I said, I played her to death so much in the previous games that I'm glad that they made a change, and she feels very different. So, but anyway, we're going to move on to Air Raider next time, which is going to be a huge ordeal, a lot of work because there's so many weapons he has. But anyway, it'll be fun. So once again, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.